Hello, this is Katrina Brown again, and I just wanted to give you an update on my journey with CareerStep. I have gone ahead and re-enrolled, and that was a big step. Honestly, I had to wait to get the PT done and all that good stuff, which my shoulder, unfortunately, is not where it should be. I've got quite a lot of pain in it, but I'm not really sure what the next step is with the shoulder, but I don't want to prolong getting my certification anymore with CareerStep. So now that I'm okay with moving the arm out a little bit, I've kind of changed around my office area so I can make grabbing the books a little bit easier. So what I did is I went ahead, contacted CareerStep, got it turned back on. Right before I did though, what I went ahead and done is I went through YouTube and started watching a lot of different coding videos to kind of refreshen myself, as well as I went back through the last module that I did, because I print a lot of everything I do, so that way I can have it and reference back to it. So I went back and reread the last module that I had, and then I just kind of skimmed over the coding handbook, and then I watched a lot of the Codemaster Coach videos again. I also went on there and watched, I purchased the Heather's Notes, I think it was like $50, and I watched a lot of those, and that's when I realized, hey, you know what, when I go to sit for the CCS and the CPC, I will need to have new books, because apparently one of them actually requires it, or is it both of them? I think both of them. As of May 1, they don't allow you to use the 2017 books. So back in April, I was like, oh, I highly doubt I'm going to be able to go ahead and finish out in like a month's time. So I went ahead and looked around, did some research, found the absolute most economical way of getting the books. When I say the books, I got all of them again, out of pocket, and I will post a link below of the links that I use to order them, which is through Amazon. I tried to make sure I got the absolute best value out there, because I've had to get the CPT code book 2018, the ICD-10-CM 2018, as well as the HCPCS and the PCS book. So you're looking at quite a bit of money. However, I thought, you know what, if I'm going to go ahead and re-enroll, I don't want to waste any time on transferring my notes, re-highlighting, anything like that. Now what I also did is, when I was reading through the books and going through all the new guidelines, which there was quite a bit more, I also watched the Heather's notes, and a lot of her notes I actually transferred directly into my book. Luckily for me, I didn't actually churn all of my CPT book. If you're in the coding course, you'll know what that means. It's a lot of circling and highlighting and underlining, and ideally it makes it to where certain words kind of stick out to you, and it's supposed to speed up the process of the coding. However, I only did a couple of sections during that, so luckily I didn't have to do a whole lot of that again. Not a lot of wasted work, pretty much. But I re-tabbed my books, got everything transferred over, reread the guidelines again, kind of familiarized myself again with all the new books and all that good stuff. And then went ahead and re-enrolled. That's when I realized I had stopped the course right before the exam for Block 2 for HCPCS. I don't remember why I did it that way, but anyway, so I kind of had to reread really in depth the last module, and then I did the exam and I passed. I was like, yes, I did it. And then the next one is the advanced ICD-10 coding, which that's when I realized, after the last 6 or 7 months, I'm thinking I forgot a whole lot, because that's a long time not to go with doing coding. And honestly, I did pretty good. I had to kind of like get back in the gist of things, of how to pull these codes out and what am I looking for. But honestly, once you start reading through it and you start looking it up, it's like, I don't know, for me it started like clicking again. It's like, oh, I remember this. EM coding, which is evaluation and management, it's not my strongest point. I really can't stand it, but after a while, I didn't do too bad. I got through that. That was pretty much good. And then I started the practicum. So I'm at the very, very last bit. I'm excited. The Practum, if you look through the coursework, is like the most hours spent on that one module, which is quite scary. But all it is medical records. Like, it's just repeated medical records and telling you what you did wrong and letting you read, you know, what the actual code is, why it's that. And then what I always do is I follow along in my book. So that way, if there's a reason why I didn't code it that way, let's just pretend, you know, I coded it based off of, you know, one item, and it was supposed to be something else. Because honestly, once you start coding, you realize you're not supposed to think, I don't know, think quite human, I would have to say. Like, yeah, you have to think in the medical way. I don't really know how to explain it really without actually showing you guys exactly how to do it or having an example, and my mind's going blank, I apologize. But either way, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to push through this. And I just started going through it, and if I was getting something wrong, I just make little notes and notations in my books. So that way, the next time I'm there, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be in this section. I actually need to go to this other section because that's where this type of thing would be coded, not this way. So that, it took a little bit of adjustment to kind of pull back. But honestly, if you start watching YouTube videos, you'll be amazed on how many people do coding and actually like do videos on it. So I was like, yes, because see, in October when I stopped, there wasn't a whole lot out there. There was some like actual mainstream people like Codemaster Coach and OCC, or excuse me, CCO, and a couple like, I think it's Delta Institution or whatnot, that do like, they're an actual like education, and they, or an educational like institute, or like that's what they do. It wasn't actual individuals or a consumer like me that's actually giving you like in English what to do. And so I've actually found quite a number of them, which was amazing, and that really helped. And honestly, as I'm going through the Practum, I'm actually still listening to them. I'm actually, on my screen in front of me, I've actually got a CCO one on, I think this one's called How to Abstract Medical Coding Case, just so if I'm forgetting something during these, just remember, because all my training's done. It's just a matter of now putting what they've taught me into pulling these codes out and trying to make sure they're correct. So I would recommend do as much as you can, and when you start getting stumped, CareerStep has the chat online. They've made some changes apparently in the last 6 months. They no longer do the phone calls, which I would call them a few times a day with questions. I realized, I'm not sure if I stated this in my previous videos, but my type of learning is I like to read it, I like to take notes, but I like to hear it. I'm one of those people that I just cannot do and pick up and learn and attain or reattain and relearn or keep it if I don't really hear it as much. I did try reading out loud. That sometimes helps, but sometimes it's, you know, I just hear myself. I did try to record myself so that way I can re-listen to myself. But it's just sometimes easy to follow along when someone else is reading it and I can highlight it and whatnot, which is where Codemaster Coach, she's pretty good at doing that because she practically reads the entire coding handbook. But that's where I realized the online class, that's where my downfall is, because I really need to hear someone else actually speak it. So going into a local community college or, you know, whatnot would probably have been, in some ways for someone like me and my learning type, may have been a little bit better. But I've done it. I'm going through the CareerStep. They have stopped the phone calling. They do like an appointment scheduling thing, which may work for some people. You gather all your little questions and they do their little 20-minute thing, and then you're pretty much good to go. I have been utilizing their chat online, which is pretty cool. It's about a 20-minute time frame. You pretty much ask the question. It takes about 20 minutes to get a response, which sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's not, because I don't really want to go forward without knowing. So what I have been doing, I try to get the code as close as possible, and I submit it. And see when I get the wrong answer, and then I read the explanation of why that was the actual answer, and then I look it up in the code book just to kind of help myself and make some notes. But the actual online chat hasn't been too bad. I would prefer them to open up the phone calls back up completely, because I do like to talk to someone. And then the Facebook page is pretty good on the CareerStep coders, because they're pretty helpful on it. And I do also have the apps. The apps is pretty cool. If you're sitting in the doctor's office, which I seem to do all the time, you can just pull it up and read through them and just do little memorization thing that kind of just helps with it. So that was pretty cool. But honestly, right now I'm I'm on page, I think, 21 in the practicum. There's 313 pages. So I'm hoping to be done by the weekend before July 30th. Set for the exam through CareerStep, get my certification, my certificate through them saying that I've passed. Then I can go ahead and sit through AHIMA as well as AAPC, which CareerStep does pay for a certification through CPC, and I think it's CCA. They don't pay for the CCS. However, CareerStep is the only one out there, at least from the last time I researched, that actually gives you so much education that you are actually allowed to sit for the CCS. Not a lot of the colleges out there give you the amount of knowledge and training to actually sit for the CCS. Now, depending on where you live, some areas they want your credential to be CPC. Some areas they want the CCS because of the fact we're military, and who knows when my husband will get out of the military, we might be moving. So if that's the case, I definitely want to make sure my credentials, no matter where I'm at, is going to be accepted. So if I'm in an area that really, really likes CCS, there's a couple that might want the CPC, then I definitely want to make sure, especially what's right here in my head, let's go ahead and get it. Same thing with the CPC. If they really want that, I really want to make sure I have it either way. Now, with the CCS, I think it's like $300 or $400 to sit for the state test. However, there is different scholarships you can get. I know with the military, they do have different ones that you can apply for as a military spouse, but also on the outside, you can get different scholarships out there. You just have to apply for them, which is honestly how I applied for this. I mean, it was a bit of legwork to get my CA to pay for it and all that, but definitely worth it. Getting new books kind of set me behind a little bit, but hey, you know, I had to do it. I'm not doing the course as fast as they say I can, which I can understand with me homeschooling and doing other things doing it, but my daughter's in public school now. I've had a setback with my husband's surgery and my shoulder surgery, but that's taken care of and done. So I've gone ahead and ordered my books, got those all taken care of. I'm almost done with the entire course. Now it's just a matter of finishing it out and sitting for it, so I'm excited. So I just wanted to give you a little update where I'm at, what I'm doing. Now that I'm back in and I'm doing the coursework and getting way back into the roll of things, I am going to try to do a couple of videos of actually coding and what you're doing, and deciphering the code and like pulling it out of the medical record, because that's ideally all you do. You get the medical record and you pretty much, you read through the whole thing and you have to pull what needs to be coded. So, I mean, you're literally just reading through it and deciphering through it. And I tried to explain it to my daughter, like, I don't know, back in the day, we used to get those books, and they would have, like, those secret messages to where, you know, 9 meant M and T meant, you know, or 8 meant, you know, S or whatnot. And you'd have to put it all together, you know, as like this just encrypted code or whatnot. That's honestly kind of how I feel with the medical record. Like, we're unencrypting the code to go ahead and set it off, but you know, you got to get a little fun in there, I guess. And she actually kind of understood, I think. But I do want to do a couple of videos. I don't have enough time today, unfortunately, and my husband has surgery next week, but I definitely want to sit down and just kind of do a video, show you what's in each of the books and kind of what each of the books kind of entail, and you know, kind of just show you what we actually do as medical coders. I don't know everything about it at all. I'm probably not even the best one to ask certain pinpointed questions on some of it just yet, but I'm trying my hardest, and I'm trying to memorize as much as I can. I'm trying to utilize my off time with the different medical coding apps you can do, and you know, now I'm trying to work on my resume. Hopefully I get a job soon, but definitely take a look at, you know, the links I'll have below for the Amazon books. And if you do like my videos, you can definitely like and subscribe to them, and then I would do the next video on the actual medical coding. Anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you guys